Hey all you train fanatics, welcome to this video. We're here to check out the new Scaletrains Rivet Counter SD45 diesel locomotive today on Max Railroad. Alright folks, what we have here is a brand new model from one of the most promising manufacturers in this hobby. Scaletrains has continued to push the boundaries of realism with the new release, and I can't wait to show you all of the incredible features these engines have to offer. Before we begin, let's talk about the prototype. The SD45s were built by the Electromotive Division from 1965 to 1971. These locomotives were built as a high-power muscle source for hotshot trains. The SD45s were built with EMD's 20-cylinder 645 E3 prime mover, producing 3,600 horsepower. Over 1,200 of these workhorses were built for railroads spanning to every corner of the country. Soon after being delivered, however, some teething issues were discovered. The locomotives were prone to crankshaft issues and were also known to use more fuel than the traditional SD40 while idling. And note that back in the 1960s that it was much more common to leave engines idling than it is nowadays. EMD would produce a new version of the SD45 under their Dash 2 program in 1972 to 1974, and all of these issues were resolved. Today, many of these locomotives have unfortunately been retired or scrapped. However, there are many out there that are still earning their keep on revenue freight trains. Thankfully, on our model trains, we need not worry about fuel consumption or a locomotive storing a rod. So with that being said, let's check out the model. Scaletrains offered the SD45 in a plethora of road names, so no matter what era or region model, I'm sure that you could find an SD45 that fits your liking. In their first and second iterations, Scaletrains offered the Santa Fe, Burlington Northern, Conrail, Seaboard, C&W, Southern Pacific, Pennsy, Undecorated, and in high hood variations, the N&W Bicentennial Scheme and the N&W Hamburger Scheme. Scaletrains also offered a less detailed version of the SD45 in their Operator series, but we're going to focus on the Rivet Counter line for today. With all these road names, there are tons of details specific to the railroad's variants of the SD45, which is something we've come to expect from Scaletrains. Each different version of the locomotive will come with different lighting features, detail placement, and even sounds in respect to their prototype. Scaletrains even included some details that are specific to the road number, which I think is really cool. These models weigh about 1.35 ounces and are a hair over 10 inches long. They can accommodate 18-inch radius curves, but you'll want to use 22-inch radius to really make these engines happy. Anyways, let's go in for a look at some of these details. Alright, so let's go in for a look at some of these details. I need something to point with. I'll just use this reverser right here. Alright. So anyways, down here on the pilot of the locomotive, you can see we've got MU hoses on either side of the coupler, and there's an air hose over on this side too. We've got the coupler cut bar, and then also we have some suicide steps, a dreadfully unsafe feature with real drainage holes, making it a bit more safe, I guess. Anyways, up on the deck of the engine, we've got simulated safety tread. There's a deck plate here that is hinged, which is really cool. If I can get to move, there it goes. And there is safety tread on that too. Up on the nose of the engine, we've got marker lights on either side, and as per the prototype, these will only shine red. There's a really cool helper mode program, which is specific to the Pennsy and the Conrail variants, since these were used in helper service pretty often, but we'll talk about that a bit more once we get power on the engine and check out some of the lighting features. Anyways, up here we've got lighted number boards and a headlight. And then we've got the interior of the cab. These windows up here are all see-through, and there is a fully detailed interior, which is really neat. The windows on the side of the cab will actually open too, which is really nice. The only thing missing inside of there is an old Ted engineer complaining about wheel slip and a conductor sleeping in the chair next to him. Looking down the long hood of the locomotive, you can see that we've got tons of detail cast in and even some legible markers, and also a barcode, which is down in the center of the engine. And don't let the lighting deceive you, this engine is the accurate PRR Brunswick green color. It just looks a little bit brighter on the camera. Down on the far side of the long hood, we've got the signature flared radiators the SD45s were known for. And then below that, we've actually got a brake wheel, which is a separately applied piece. It looks pretty nice. On the rear of the engine, we've got more great detail right down here on the pilot, just like on the front of the locomotive. Coming up on the deck, we've got more safety tread and another deck plate, and then MU plugs, just like on the front. Up here on the back of the engine, if you see, we've got a nice PRR herald, the backup light, more marker lights, and lighted number boards. And then there's a nice little set of grab irons right here, tons of separately applied detail all around. Here's a quick look down the fireman side of the locomotive. It's very similar to the engineer side that we just looked at, and it looks great as well. Here's a look at the top of the locomotive. So we've got our horn piece and the radio antenna right up here up front. And that stuff will vary greatly based on the prototype that you have, both the type and the position. Anyways, going back behind that, we've got the exhaust stack and then 5 fan blades. And underneath a screen, these fans are all separately applied details, which is really cool. There's also some lift rings and grab irons scattered around, and a sand fill cap on the back of the engine. Really nice. I've got the engine in a foam cradle now to show off my favorite part, which is the detailing on the underside. There are so many small and mighty details here, including sand lines, lubrication lines, some goodies around the truck bolsters, and a lot of cool stuff by the fuel tank too. There's a lot of models of the SD45 already out there on the market, but there's no other manufacturer that puts in this amount of attention to detail. And there's also functioning ground lights, so you can see all these cool details when you're at track level. All of these really small details, especially the ones that you probably will never see, are really what make these Scaletrains engines the best on the market, in my opinion. There's no other manufacturer out here that does this kind of stuff. So, alright, well now that we've checked out the engine, let's see it in action. If I press 8 on my DCC remote, it should come to life. Alright, so let's check out some of the sounds. So, here's the horn, and it's important to note that if you don't like the horn that comes out of the box with the engine, you can actually change it to some of the other ones that Scaletrains has programmed in. But keep in mind, the one that the engine comes out of the box with will be correct to what it should be. So anyways, here's what the horn sounds like. And then here's the bell, and again, you can also change the bell if your heart so desires. As far as lighting features go, the engine has lighted number boards, and they come on automatically when you start the engine up. If I press the headlight button, headlight will turn on just like that, and then if I press the direction button, it'll turn on the other side. If I go ahead and press F12, the headlight will dim in case that you are passing a station or another freight train. And then press F12 again and it'll come back to full brightness. And then something really cool that Scaletrains did for the Pennsy and the Conrail version is a helper mode. These two railroads use the SD45s in helper service pretty often, so Scaletrains actually created a lighting mode for helper operations. If I press F5, the headlight and the marker lights will turn on in the opposite direction of travel to signify the end of the train. So anyways, if I go ahead and press direction, such that the front of the engine would be on the rear of the train, and then press F5, you can see that we've got the headlight and the marker lights. And the headlight will be on dim as per appropriate to the prototype. Pretty cool. There's a couple more sound features programmed into these engines, like a coupler sound if you press F3. There's also a dynamic brake sound effect for when the engine's in motion, and a couple other cool things. If you press F9, this enters something called drive hold, where the sounds will act independent of the throttle. So if I press F9 and throttle the engine up, you can see that the throttle's up but will not move. This is a great way if you want your engine to scream and notch 8 while crawling, or coast and notch 1 while descending a grade. Well, that just about does it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed. I want to give a big thanks to Scaletrains for giving me the opportunity to review this engine, and a huge thanks to the Lehigh and Keystone Valley Model Railroad Club for hosting this video. Links to both of their websites are in the description below. If you're looking to purchase one of these models, the price on the Scaletrains website is $275 for a DCC sound version like this one, or $185 for a DCC ready option. Overall, this locomotive is a versatile workhorse that's ready to earn its keep on your railroad. Thanks for watching, and as I wrap things up, let's run this engine for a little bit. I'll see you folks down the line. Have a great day.